Okay guys, quick update with Bitcoin. So the question is Bitcoin about to go parabolic? Well, I can tell you that nobody knows anything for certain, but I can tell you this, based on this chart, it looks like that very well could be a possibility. So I'm going to break down this chart. I'm going to give you a next key resistance level above to pay attention to, and then if you're not in a long right now or in any position, likely point to enter a short for a scalp short, and the next point to enter a long, maybe go more heavy or to hold that long. And this chart here, I did cover it in my last video, and this video here, which is about 11 days ago. So this is super bullish for Bitcoin, so I decided to short. And again, this was a very strong resistance level. And as I said, that's why I shorted it. But at any point we hold above it, that would be bullish. I'll put in this video now if you want to check it out. Now, I want to cover a few things. We're going to cover these two charts, but I want to show you, how to use the charts, how to play the charts. So I was showing, on the H1 chart, your key resistance was 51,733. We knew that this was strong support around 50,677, and we knew that this, and I'll show you why this is such a critical line right here, this 51,600, but that was your support and resistance levels. Notice we pushed up, we got rejected at 51,725, still below this line here. You see we got rejected, we started coming down, and then we hit and back down to support. Let's see if it holds or breaks. So this is a point to watch. If we hold here, you would go long. If we break it, then you would go short, but that's a key support level. But take note, this daily candle opened above this line and the price dropped. But see what happened? Even though the daily candle opened above, we had a wick down, which this line did catch. But again, when price is going to push up, they're going to send price down to take out longs to stop them out before price goes up. And as I said, and these would be great points to short, but on the flip side, if we get above, that would be bullish. And then I made this post right here. We were at a key resistance level, but we were above a critical support level, which was resistance on the D1 chart. And as I said, daily opened above here, off to the moon we go. And you see the next daily candle opened and we shot straight up. So again, what I'm trying to tell you is, yes, we could have a lot more upside. I'm going to break down that other chart. But I want you to understand how these lines work. If you just go back and you look, you'll see that this white line has been a lot of resistance. Yes, we got some wicks above. Even here, we got 4 wicks above. This wick went way the hell up. But look what happened. We got a wick above, right? But then what happened? That was to take out shorts before we had a pretty substantial drop. And you can see the same thing here. This white line was resistance, support. We broke below it, but the daily candle it opened above, right? It opened above. Price dropped back below. It pushed right back up. So your point too long was around 51,844. Now again, I said this would be a point to potentially open a short if we stayed below. We did push above, and I said again, if the next daily candle opened above, expect a lot more upside. That being said, this is your next resistance level above. So if you are in a long, especially from down below, stay long. Even if we come down, and now these key resistance levels, which I'm going to break down why we could potentially go parabolic, even if we drop 54,000 would be a great point to enter a long. That is a lot of support. Remember, we got a resistance level just above. I'm going to give you that target. But I will tell you this. If we get below 54K, I would be very cautious. Maybe stay in your long if you're long from below. But if we get back down around the 52,000 area below 54K, then you might want to be looking for some more long-term short entries. Okay, so I'm going to break down this line as well. This was the last video, and I covered this as well. This was put up a few days ago, and same scenario. As long as we're below this point, stay short. As soon as we push above it, to go long. So I'll link this video if you want to check it out. So this is this chart. So I just want to show you why it looks like it's very possible we could have some more upside. And again, the crazy thing is right where these 3 lines converge. And that's why I was saying it was going to be a strong resistance level, and now it will flip as strong support. But if you'll take note, all right, each one of these lines, just pay attention to what I'm pointing out. When we pushed above this yellow line, this was back in 2013, we went parabolic. It became support, right? Same thing. And this is also important too. Take note, we broke above this line. We pushed up, we came back down, tested as support, right? We pushed up to this one, which was resistance. When we broke above it, we shot straight up. All right, same thing. When we pushed above this one, it was support. We shot straight up, right? When we broke above this one, we pushed up higher. This became support. We broke below it. As soon as we pushed above this yellow line, it became support for months. Then we pushed up. When we broke above this line, we came back down, tested as support, and we pushed up. When we broke above this line, we pushed up, tested as support, and pushed higher. So every time we push above one of these lines, sometimes we hold support, sometimes we continue up. It seems more likely we come back down, tested as support. So we are above not just one of these lines, but all three of these lines. So it's very possible that we could potentially, I'm not saying we have to, but if we did come back down and test this as support, that would be a great entry if you're not already in a long to enter one, potentially add to your long, that's up to you. But as I said, once we come back down and test it or above it, this would be a springboard to shoot us up much higher. So that is now in play. We're above that point. And you can clearly see every time we cross above one of these critical lines, which was resistance, now support, we push up much higher. So yes, the probabilities of us going higher has improved a lot. So your current resistance. Now again, guys, just like I showed you this white line here that was resistance, that is also, that can flip as support, and this is your next line above. If I take this line, right, and I just move this down, you notice this blue line here and this white line, it's all connected, right? It's just basically like a fib retracement, but it's at an angle. It's called a fib channel. So we know this is a point to enter a short if we hit this line. Now keep this in mind too, guys. If you own one Bitcoin and let's say we push up to $100,000, the most you're going to make is what, maybe $44,000. If you want to make life-changing money, you already have to have like 5 or 10 Bitcoin if we push up $100,000. If you want to make a lot of money, one way to play this, if we come back down to 54K, what you could do, what I like to use, I play more risk. I use higher margin, higher leverage. Maybe $3,000 at 30x. You can make a lot of money, but if it goes the wrong way, you can lose a lot of money if you don't use a stop loss. One option, one way to play this, for instance, and again, CoinCatch is no KYC. If you want to sign up, I always have the links pinned first comment description. 2 other changes to use are BingX and BitGet. What you could do, you could create an account, and you could use lower margin and lower leverage. So for instance, if we are going to go parabolic and start going higher, let's say we come back down and test 54K, that'd be a great point to enter a long. If we push up, I can tell you right now, your first point to scalp a short. Remember when I say scalp a short, you can still hold your long from below, open a short, and as price comes down, you take profit on your short and just continue to ride your long from 54K. But what you could do is you could use a lower margin, lower leverage. So you could enter a long down at 54K, maybe $500 at 20x or $1,000 at 10x. It's lower risk, but this way as price pushes up, you're making triple or quadruple what you would have made if you just bought one Bitcoin. So, instead of, if price pushes up to 100,000, instead of making only 40,000, you could potentially make, quadruple that. So that's my point. You could use lower margin, lower leverage. That way there's less risk, but you'll make more when this tops out, wherever it tops out. Now, again, your point to potentially scalp a short is around 50. This daily candle will be 57,754. In next daily candle, 57,815. This gets higher as time goes on. Way out here is around 59K. The point is, this would be a point to short. As long as we are above 54K, stay bullish, guys, because we have no reason dropping back below 54K if this is a bull run and we're going to start going parabolic and going much higher. So this is a point to watch. And remember, where these lines converged was around 53K. Now they're diverging. So now you have multiple support levels. So 54,300 down to 54,000, all the way down to 53,566. You start getting below those points, well, things could change. But we know your key support level below that is 52,579, which means now this will flip as strong resistance. So again, bullish above 54K. We get down to 52K, I'd start looking for some long-term short entries. In the meantime, this is your next likely point to short. And if I take this right here and just go copy and paste this in, just want you to see why this is a very important level. And let me go ahead and just extend this to the left, to the right, hold on. If you'll notice, right here, this was support. Let me price it over here. So if you notice, this was support back in 2020 around, so this was support around 3,697. Take note, it was support again. This was in 2022, right, around 17,520. But then notice it flipped as resistance. It was resistance right here, 2023, at 31,351, right? So that will flip as key resistance right here, right? So again, I'm not saying we can't get above it, but you can see why that's an important level to potentially scalp a short. If you're already in a long and you want to hold your long and you don't swing trade, then just hold your long. But I just want to let you know that that looks like a likely point to enter a short. We're pretty close to that point now. Now it's possible we could just push straight up from here. It's possible we could drop from here. But if we did push up and test around 57,800, wait till that happens. That'd be a point to enter a short. If we come down, all right, you would take profit on that short around 54,000, maybe 54,300, and this would be a great point to enter a long if you're not already in. And if price continues up, all right, so if price pushes up like this, right, and maybe we don't get rejected, and then we come back down and test it as support, well, then now you have a point to enter a long if you're not already in, and that would be above 58,200. For me, as far as a long-term or for an upside target, I am currently long because, as I said, once we get above this point, that is bullish. Now, I do think it's very possible we could come back down and test this as support before we have more upside. I've got the wrong tool here, my brush tool. Let me zoom in just a bit. So again, as I said, it is very possible we could get a rejection here. As you'll see, we typically push above. Let me get rid of this so I can show you what I'm talking about. Typically, when we do push above, we do come back down and test it as support. So we pushed above it, tested as support, pushed up, tested as support, pushed up, tested as support, pushed up. So we could get a rejection right at that blue line I was talking about. Come back down. This would be a great point to enter long if you're not already in. But for me, I think the point I would be watching to potentially take profit on my long or start looking for short entry will be where these two lines converge. Remember, the further to the right, the further up we can go. If we shot straight up, then I'd be looking at a point sooner to take profit. But the longer this takes to go up, the higher we could go. But the point I'm going to get across is we are now above 3 critical resistance levels that are now going to be critical support. And to me, just based on this chart, which I covered in 2 different videos now, every time we get above one of these lines, and now we're above all 3 of these lines, which means it's very possible that, yes, now this could be a springboard to send us much higher. I would pay attention to the indices. Now, I did mention this is the Dow Jones here. Remember, the indices typically follow each other. But this is our resistance right now, and yes, we're getting rejected, but we are above a key support level. And that's this trend line here, right? So 38,985. As long as that holds, then it's very possible the indices could push up higher. And I have to tell you, the next line I have above for the Dow is way the hell up here. So if we get a break to the upside, if you see the indices just start shooting straight up, well, Bitcoin's going to follow suit. But I just want to make sure you have these key levels to pay attention to. Yes, I am bullish. I have to follow the charts. The charts show since we got above this point, that is bullish. Again, don't repeat myself. I want to make sure you understand. This would be an ideal point to scalp a short, leaving your long open. We come back down, you're not in a long, 54,170 would be a great point to enter a long, all right? You don't have to do anything if you're already long from below, but some people like to, stay long, open and short, add to the portfolio. Or, if you want to wait, see if we get above this point, you can enter a long above 57,856. But again, if we get down below 54K, 52K, again, I would be looking for some long-term short entries. We have no business getting below 54K if this can continue to go parabolic. So you have those targets, and remember guys, if you do want to get in leverage trading, you do not have to go crazy and use extreme margin. I use like $3,000 at 30x. You can make a lot of money on these moves, but you can lose a lot too, so make sure you practice risk management with a stop loss. But remember, you could sign up to CoinCatch, and you could do like $500 at 20x. It's less risk, but if price does push up to $100,000, which I don't think we'd go that high, again, that's why I'm paying attention to those rings. But you could do lower margin, and you could make at least 3 or 4 times what you could just buying one Bitcoin and riding it up. But guys, that's pretty much it. If you want to get access to these charts, websites, authorcrypto.com, links pinned in the first comment description. And just remember, we are coming up on a key resistance level. We'll see what happens around 57,856. And if you're long from below, just pay attention to 54,170. Remember, these lines are diverging now, all right? So that means if you're further out to the right, and your first support level is 54,600, then very, very strong supports, 54,246. Down to 53,660, but if we get to that level, I would be cautious, because if we break this key support level, then we know we have a lot more downside. But again, my target, my upside target, and I'll be sharing that in Discord, but this is the point I'm watching. Again, I'm long, but I think going past this point or holding past this point is a little risky. Guys, that's it. Trade safe, trade smart. I'm out.